Welcome to episode 155 of the Nope Coach podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Culberg. Not Hocus, not pocus, but focus. That is the topic of today's show. Many of you know, but I will reiterate it for new listeners. This perhaps could be your first episode of the show, that I have a more Western traditional training background. I went to medical school, and I'm when I talk about different things, it's never my intention to bag or kick to the curb or drag out any person's belief system or what has been successful for them. So I had a very more traditional education. Was going to be a doctor, left in my 5th year. So if you want to read more about this, I've got my debut memoir, The Beginning of Shit, that you can grab on Amazon or Booko or any such place like that. Just make sure you search up Suzanne Culberg, because if you type in the title with the swear word in the title, I won't even go there. So if you want to read more about it, you can in there. But when I had my traditional, more Western type training, what I do now, coaching, hypnotherapy, that kind of stuff, it was like, this is just hocus pocus. And now that I do it for a living, it's always interesting when people ask what I do, and I say that I'm a life coach, and I have these modalities, the nascent eye roll and that's just hocus pocus, that some people whisper under their breath or some people say overtly. All this to say, you do you, like whatever works for you. Random things coming to my mind is children, babies who are teething. Some people swore black and blue about those amber necklaces, or the teething toys or the rings or all this sort of stuff. Like people would, like when my kids were teething and drooling and crying and not sleeping and crampy, I felt like I was addicted to Google. And I felt for the mothers in the days before Google, like what did they do? I suppose they just spoke to their own mums or their circle. Maybe life was easier back then because you weren't up at 2 a.m. trying how to get my kids to stop crying. But anywho, all that to say, for some people, those things work. And for my kids, they did jack shit. Now, does that mean that amber necklaces or teething rings or things don't work in general across the board? Of course not. But we tend to espouse the things that have worked for us, which when we think about it, of course makes sense. You're not going to go around and toot the horn of something that didn't do anything for you. So when it comes to the work that I do with clients now, and the premise of this episode, not hocus, not pocus, but focus. When I was in a more traditional field, like when I was in the more Western medical field of labeling and diagnosis and treatment, it was almost formulaic. You get the diagnosis and this is how it's treated and move on. And the person sometimes isn't even seen as an individual. Like they're seen as a series of stats, a blood pressure number, a weight number, a height number. Like they're seen as vitals and not them as the whole being that they are. Like who is it behind the vitals? Like I'm sure I'm not the only one who has perhaps felt tired, like exhausted, or felt moody and has gone to see their general practitioner, had a series of tests run, had some panels done, and been like, everything's in the normal range, and just dismissed. Like, well, we can't find anything physically wrong with you. I literally had a doctor say to me once, well, there's nothing physically wrong with you. Even just saying those words now, I can feel that pit of dread clenching in my belly, because I was like, what? So what are you saying? There's nothing physically wrong with you. Like, how dismissive. It's just like, next. And it's almost like, I believe a world in which we're not addressed unless we, have a set of standard tests that aren't met, like our needs and our wants and the things that, it doesn't feel good to me. Oh, but you're in the normal range. Because that's your thing too. Often with these ranges of things, we don't know what that particular person's baseline was. So at the moment, I'm nursing an injury. It's not pleasant. I haven't shared about it, but this is my show where I overshare. I have a groin injury, and holy cow, it's very, very painful. And I went to like my chiropractor. She's like a holistic practitioner, so she does chiro and cupping and massage and all sorts of things. And I said to her, I'm having this issue, and she runs me through like the range of motion, and she's like, it's fine. And I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. I'm hypermobile. For me, this is restrictive. Like if you look at my uninjured side, demonstrated the stretch move on that side. And she's like, oh, I can see the problem here. So I know that my range of motion compared to what it normally is, for me, this is restrictive. So often when we go and we have an issue, like we're feeling tired or we're feeling moody or something's not quite right, and we're just given a test or a blood test or a scan, oh, you're fine, off you go. We could be at a very different range because only we know that. Like if you look at my range of movement and flexibility now, you'd probably be, and you didn't know, you'd be like, oh, that's fine. But when you see me when I'm normally doing my yoga and I can sit in full lotus and everything, you're like, oh shit, we have a problem. So all that to say, what I love about coaching, and as I said, not to knock any other modality and not to, say this is wrong, because once we start getting black and white, this is wrong, this is right, that's when the fight started. I don't believe coaching is hocus pocus. Coaching to me is focus. When you go to see your coach, when I see my clients and I ask them to share with me, they have my full focus. I'm not looking at a chart. I'm not looking at a set of standard tests. I'm not characterizing them and going, well, you fall within acceptable range. Next. I'm focusing, I'm listening to what is that experience like for them. And when I was very early into coaching, so this is my 6th year of coaching now, when I first started out back in 2017, my first certification, I'm a multi-certified coach, was in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and that cops a lot of bad rap, and I realized that. So this episode isn't dedicated to that. But where was I going with this? Oh, focus. As a newbie coach in NLP, a lot of the things that you're taught are processes. So similar to like you go to a doctor, a GP, they take your blood, they look at ranges, they go, next, you're in or you're out. NLP processes. You can be given a script. You can be given a series of things to run through. The problem is people don't always fit in the script. They say things that don't belong in the script, or they end up on a tangent. And I remember panicking as a very, very green coach, like, I don't know what to do. This isn't on the script. This isn't on the list of choose your own adventure things. And so from there, as a green, untested, untried coach, I was like, oh, maybe I need another modality. So, and I see a lot of people do this. They go from modality to modality. So they're certified in multiple things, not because they feel called or drawn or excited about these, but because they need to find the right set of skills. Every time I say set of skills, I think of Liam Neeson on Taken. I have a particular set of skills. But, where I'm talking about focus is the person in front of you, listening to them, hearing them, talking to them, not diagnosing them, not putting them into a category, not forcing them into a script or something that doesn't necessarily even fit them, but listening to what's happening. And so many of us honestly don't have anybody truly listen to us. When you think about it in your life, family and friends, like you can have, I know I have this joke with my friends, like, enough of you, now it's my turn. So sometimes even, when my coach hat is off and my friend hat is on, we're not truly listening. We're looking for, okay, I've listened to you enough. Now it's my turn. I want to vent. Where's my in? So, as a coach versus as a friend, my job, my role in the coaching thing is to focus, is to listen, is to reflect back what I hear, is to ask some open-ended questions and to explore. That shit ain't hocus pocus. Hocus pocus was more green coach Suze, who was like, here is the script, here's the formula. Oh shit, you don't fall into that. Oh my goodness, I need another one. I can't remember the last time I looked at a script. I honestly don't know. I threw them out. Like, they are, I'm not knocking them. When you're new and you don't know what you're doing, they're great. Like when you're first doing medical school and you're learning to take a patient history and you're asking, where did they grow up and what have they eaten and what are their allergies and, what pets do they have, and all the questions that you don't know to ask in the beginning. I remember first when I was at medical school, I was like, why does it matter what pets they have? But, people who have lung conditions, if they've had birds can carry psittacosis and other sort of, conditions. Anyway, I'm getting on a whole tangent here. But in the beginning, in whatever thing that you are working through, there is a time for a script or a formula or, a way of being that helps you to make the most of what you're doing. And after a while, experience will kick in and following the person. But really realizing if you are drawn to see a coach, like I have Why Wait starting very soon. Next cohort begins on the 2nd of October. And I know for some of you listening who are on the fence, who are curious, who are interested, and if you're catching this episode later, the next cohort of Why Wait could be approaching. Am I paying a large amount of money to some rando off the internet? Like, is this a Ponzi scheme, or is this a bait and switch, or is this I'm going to give her my money and then she's just going to give me some worksheets and off she goes? No, Why Wait isn't hocus pocus or worksheets or left to your own devices. It is that focus. And there is that ability for you to step in and share as much as you feel comfortable to. A lot of my clients do multiple rounds of Why Wait. It's not required. It's not expected. I call Why Wait like Hotel California. You are, a lot of people don't leave, but you're most welcome to. And in that first cohort or that first round, you might not yet feel comfortable to open up fully. And that's okay. You might be more what I label the loving lurker, witnessing from the side. But some people are just all in. They're like, I've listened to you for a year, for 2 years. I'm ready. Let's fucking go. There is a whole gamut of people who come to my program. At the time of recording this, which is the 18th of September, the 19th of September, I have 9 people currently enrolled in the October cohort. So it's a really nice, small group community. My goal, I'll be nothing true of honest, my goal is 20. So I'd love to call in another 11 people in the next, 12, 13 days until we kick off. But even with that, there will be plenty of time to focus. And your goals, achieving your goals, whether it's setting boundaries, being able to say no and not feel like a bitch, or reclaim your inner bitch, finally go from wantrepreneur to entrepreneur, release the weight, build a healthy exercise regime, whatever your thing is, you don't need the hocus pocus or the formula or the magical to do thing or the aha moment from the sky. What you do need is the focus to consistently keep showing up for yourself day in and day out, even when things aren't working and you're frustrated and you're like, oh my goodness, like to keep showing up for yourself consistently is part of the magic of what Why Wait brings, the focus on you daily, because the magic that we can create over the 10 weeks together is sensational. So I'd love to have you join Why Wait if you feel so called to. If not, and you've enjoyed this episode anyway, what is something in your life that you've been like, I wanted to do this, but I've always dismissed it as hocus pocus? And how could you, reiterate that to go, actually, it's not hocus pocus, it's focus. Thanks for joining me. Hope to catch you on the next one. Oh, if you want more details about Why Wait, if you go to my website, SuzanneCulberg.com, there is a full description there. And if you read through that and you're like, I have questions, I totally get it. Down the bottom, you can book in a call with me. And I don't pressure. It's an obligation-free call. Does this feel right for both of us? And if so, I'd hope for us to move forward together. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.